Welcome to Ask the Funeral Director with Mike Voyajakis. Brought to you by Voyage Funeral Home and Crematorium. Now, here's your host, Brad Wilder. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Ask the Funeral Director on this Wednesday, February 26th. That's right, it's almost over. February, going to move into March, and we'll march right on through into April, and soon it'll be summertime. I'm looking forward to that. We've got a lot to get to tonight. Mike is here as well. He's got some political guests stopping in to join us. There's a lot to come right here on Ask the Funeral Director. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this. At the Cork and Flame, we're always cooking and ready with the finest for all our customers any time of day or night. From breakfast brunch to lunch and dinner, steak and seafood to ribs and more. The Cork and Flame Fine Dining. Always fresh, with fabulous desserts and a narration of the urban landscape, plus a passion for quality food. Eat, drink, chill. Cork and Flame, 3106 Portage Avenue. There's no hurry, so sit back and relax. All right, welcome back to Ask the Funeral Director. Mike is just standing by. He's getting things all set and ready to go with our special guests tonight from the Progressive Conservative Party. Abhi Khan will be here, as well as Wally Dowdrich, and we're going to talk a little bit about their platforms, what they're running for and why, what they bring to the table. So there's lots to get to in just a few minutes. Want to say hi to some of the people that have just joined us online tonight. Steve Badge is here. He jumped on first. Gord Roberge, he's up there right in second place. Kathy Tickle, as Mike likes to say, back there in third. Mike, are you ready to come on the show now?
I'm ready.
All right, buddy. Good to have you here.
What a night. Jeez.
It's been one of those nights. Yeah, we get a little bit of technical issues along the way sometimes, and it's almost like it keeps going. As one starts, then there's more and more and more.
Debbie, good evening from Alberta. And then good evening all, Jossie says. Janet, hello from Smithers. Debbie, good evening, Mike and Brad, and everyone else. Linda, Shelley, good evening, Mike and Brad. Fernie, good evening, Mike, Brad, and everyone. Washington State here. All the way from Washington State. Pretty cool. Michelle is on the show too. Good evening, watching from South Winnipeg. Happy it's Wednesday. Look forward to this show all week long. And, of course, we have Dan Ross from Ross, Manitoba. Good evening, Mike, Brad, and everyone else. Al Bueller. Al, you made it to the show this week. Good evening, Mike Voyajakis, Brad Wilder, Heather Toes. Good evening, Mike. And Anita's on the show. Good evening, Mike, Brad, and everyone else. Christina Bloomfield. Hi from Oakbank. All the way down in Oakbank. Love Oakbank. Nice little town there. Lori, hello from Ontario. Christine Ross, actually. Hello all from Anola, Manitoba. Wow, way out there, Anola. And then Brenda's on the show too. Good evening, Mike, Brad from Longsault, Ontario. So we have quite a few people on the show tonight. It is going to be an interesting show as we have Wally on the show with us tonight and also Abhi. We're going to wait for them to tune in. We're going to find out a little bit about the two people that are running for leadership of the PC party. It's going to be interesting to hear what they have to say, because you know what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about crime, violence, and all the things that are going on that we want to hear about and see what they're going to do as leaders, how they're going to make Manitoba a better place for you and I to be. This week on my Facebook page, also on Ask the Funeral Director, I shared something really interesting. People saying, well, Mike, are you fighting for us? Are you going to be our voice? You know crime is completely out of control. The justice system, the catch and release, is causing chaos on our streets, and we need to do something about it. So people are saying, Mike, you got to do something about this. So what do? I got together a page, and you could sign it either on Ask the Funeral Director or on Michael Voyajakis on that page too. So it's something that could make change, because if we get enough signatures, and it's crazy because if you posted a picture of, well, let's just say nudity or something to that effect, you would have that shared 1,000 times over. This is about the catch and release. It's about your families and making it safer for your communities, your grandkids, for their future. So that's what it's all about. So you could go on and sign a petition, and you could share the petition. That would really help a lot. Going to bring Brad on with me now again. He's kind of disappeared in the background. But Lauren, hello from Southeast Saskatchewan. Debbie, happy hump day. Hey, Debbie, happy hump day. And there's Brad back on with me right now.
There we go.
So do we have anybody joining us yet, or?
We do, actually. Looks like somebody's ready to jump right on board right now. Are you ready to do this, Mike?
Let's do this.
All right, let's move to our special.
They're not in the studio, by the way. They're going to be on with us, but mobile.
That's right. We'll bring them in on a Zoom call here.
Oh, and look, there's Wally.
And we'll just give Wally a second here. Hold on, Wally.
We're going to let Brad play with that a little bit, and then I'm just going to keep saying hello to some people. Sherry, hello, Mike and Brad. Canada Nano Silver. Hello, everybody from Canada Nano Silver. They have the best products. You need to go on their website and see what they have. Wally, we're just getting you set to come on. I can see you. Nobody else can see you yet, but Brad's going to get it all ready for you. Good evening, Mike and Brad. Randolph says. So it's been an interesting week in the city of Winnipeg. So people ask this question all the time. I just want to bring it up to you. People say, Mike, what do you do with people's dentures? When you cremate somebody, do you place them back in their mouth? Or when you're doing a traditional burial, do those dentures go back in the mouth? So with that story being said, I'm going to share a story with you. So in comes this lady this week into the funeral home, and she says, oh, I need to see Mike. I can hear her from the office. So I come out and I say, oh, how can I help you? And she goes, I have something for you. And I go, what do you have? And she reaches into the bag, so I put out my hand, and she drops her husband's dentures in my hand, and she says, can you donate this to a family who can use them? I thought that was hilarious. Little do they know, I can't see you, Mike. Oh. You look down in the dumps today, Mike. Kathy, tickle. I'm not in the dumps. But I'll tell you what did happen. We're going to have Wally on and we're going to have Abby on. But I prepare my show every night and I send it over to Brad. And Brad gets it on the screens and we do our thing. But today, the whole show just disappeared. Just gone.
That was something you did. I didn't
Technical
do that.
difficulties. I think it was maybe your email address isn't working.
Now, we
properly.
should be able to hear Wally at this point in time. Wally, I noticed that your microphone was muted. Let's give that a try right now. No, it looks like it's still muted, Wally.
So if you have a question that you want to ask Wally in the meantime, and Abby, maybe put that question up on the screen. And then, Mike, did you get complimentary tickets for the women's show to give away and to drop them off at the Cork and Flame this evening? Unfortunately, I did not, but we will give them away next week, or we can give a couple away this week. They're having a little bit of technical difficulties on that end there, but we're going to get there and be able to talk to Wally
We should be
as he's
able
patiently waiting.
We should be able to hear him.
So those complimentary tickets for the women's show to give away, we have, I think, 4 of them. We're going to just do this as they're having their technical difficulties. I've picked a number in my head, and if you could tell me what number it is, we're going to give away 4 tickets to the women's show, and that's coming up. I don't have the date or anything, Kevin or Anna, if you could put it up on the screen, just because I don't have the tickets. But we're going to give away those tickets right now. You can pick them up at the Cork and Flame or Voyage Funeral Home. So I got a lucky number in my head. If you want to guess those numbers, I will give you those tickets. Which Wally do you speak to? Well, Wally's talking, but nobody can hear Wally.
Well, I've got Wally on, and everything is working on my end as far as I can see. But I cannot hear Wally either tonight.
Number 66 is wrong. 44 is wrong. 4 is wrong. 47 is wrong. 66 and 9. It's March 8th and 9th. That's when it's taking place. Sophia says number 33, 37. It's 1 to 100. So if you get the lucky number, it's March 8th and 9th. And, Will says number 90. Nikki Sunshine, 34. Hey, Nikki. Steve H. Hey, Steve, always good to see you on the show. 88 is wrong. Jason, number 18. Oh, this is a hard one to guess. Congratulations to the winner. There is no winner yet, Heather. 99 is wrong. And 55, Mark Scheifele's number is. Does anyone know who won the Winnipeg Jets game tonight? Number 13. Not number 13. Wow, this is a tough one tonight. Who are Mike Wojciechowski and Brad Wilder? That is a good question. Nikki Sunshine just won the tickets. It was number 1. So 4 tickets to go to the show, and you're going to have to say hi to the nice people at the show. And going to pull it back up on the screen again as I'm looking for it. It's March 8th and 9th. So, Nikki, you can pick up those tickets either at Voyage Funeral Home or the Cork and Flame. Go to the Canada Nano Silver booth and see Kevin and Anna. A lot of great products. It's going to be a great show. And we're still trying to get Wally on, so we're playing with that. And Jason's still guessing at 97. And Jets are up 4-1. Winnipeg Jets are on fire. I think this is going to... What's the record streak? I think they beat the record streak down. We're... Congratulations, Heather. Yeah, now she says congratulations. So I'm doing a lot of ad lib here, but once we get Wally and Abby on, it's going to be a different story. Canada Nano Silver will be at booth number 400. Can I meet you in person if I go to Voyage? Of course, Nikki, you can meet me in person. So sorry for the a little bit of a delay here, but I can see Wally. You guys can't see him. Congratulations, Nikki, says Dan Ross.
Hi, Wally.
Oh, there. We got Wally now.
Wally.
Can you hear me?
We can now, Wally.
Okay.
It was on my end, my friend. It was a setting in our Zoom that got mixed up somehow, and we got it back.
Well,
so
we got her back. We got her
I
fixed.
apologize.
Wonderful.
That's you never know what's going to happen with the Zoom program every time you go on it. That's why we don't use it very often. We'd rather have you right in between us here and chatting live with us here.
We should put Wally in
We're going to do that right now. There's
Wally. So, Wally, welcome to Ask the Show. It's Ask the Funeral Director, and we're glad that you can make it up. I know it's been a tough run for you this last little while, place to place and meeting to meeting and people getting to know you. I think maybe we'll start out quickly, maybe people just finding out a little bit about you, Wally.
Yeah, sure. So I actually grew up in the city in the 60s and 70s, and I left Winnipeg in 81 to find my fame and fortune in Churchill. I basically spent the majority of my life living in northern Manitoba, primarily in Churchill. I know the province very well, and I've lived in so many places inside of Manitoba, born and raised in Winnipeg, in Manitoba, had great parents, loving parents, farm background, so many aspects of Manitoba's economy and our resources that we have. I'm very familiar with that because I've grown up around them. I'm a businessman. I get very frustrated when I see our provincial government over the decades being horribly mismanaged, and then seeing the decline ultimately of our wonderful city, Winnipeg, as well. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here tonight.
It's great to hear, Wally. So, as you know, we had a lunch together and we talked, and a big question that I have and a lot of people have is I've been really fighting hard against what's going on with the justice system, the catch and release program. So
yeah.
We have problems with the justice system, and if you become the next premier of Manitoba, what would you do to fix the justice system and make our city safer?
Yeah. So if you've been following me in the media, you'd see that I've stated and stood out as the candidate that has stated some things with regards to homelessness and with crime and punishment. But let me tell you the trail here, what leads to why I'm here tonight. But First of all, we've had a prime minister for the last 9 years that basically turned our justice system into bail instead of jail. If they got caught, we gave them a pat on the back and said, "Sorry, you got caught, bud, and now you're going to have to be processed, but a quick release, and you're back out on the streets." A few weeks ago, I made some comments about how Churchill does so well in dealing with our homeless, which we don't have a homelessness issue in Churchill. And, I stated for obvious reasons. And we're having a conversation about it because I made a statement about how Churchill has handled it. And we basically made the decision in town that we're not going to allow it to happen. I own a tourism business, and there's probably, 15, 20, 25 businesses that depend on tourism. When you're a tourist town like Churchill, you can't have vagrants lying about and taking up space that would scare people that come from around the world. They pay dearly, to get to Churchill, and then they stay at one of our lodges or hotels in Churchill, and they're not there to examine our problems. So I praise our mayor and our councillors over the years who have dealt with the issue. And I said simply that Winnipeg or any other jurisdiction can make the choice. They can make the choice to deal with homelessness, which homelessness is another word, oftentimes, not everybody, but another word for drug addiction, alcohol addiction. And there's probably a dozen different laws that can be utilized to solve the issues. Homelessness is also another word for hopelessness. The people lose hope, they end up on the streets. So the way I look at it is, if you incarcerate people for a number of laws that they've broken, then you get them off the streets. You're giving them a safe bed. You're getting them away from their drug sellers, and you're putting them in a safe situation that is under the care of a provincial government. This is simply done by making the choice. I'm not saying it's an easy choice, and my campaign does not claim to have the easy button, but we do claim to have the facts. And in this case, as in so many other cases, facts matter. And if you want to rid Winnipeg of homelessness, and I'm not saying that about the people, I'm talking about the issue. So I don't want to get conflated, but if you want to deal with this issue, dealing with it is the most humane way of treating people. Taking them off the streets, getting away from the dealers, getting them out of harm's way, and then potentially dealing with them in a counseling situation. Also, if there's people have mental issues, then you deal with those one-on-one issues that have to be solved perhaps over a period of months or years, because mental issues, mental health issues, oftentimes are long-term. And that's often why people are on the streets. But we don't allow them to be on the streets, sometimes to commit crimes and to provide the horrible scene of public vagrancy.
Yeah. The biggest problem we have in Manitoba, I feel, Wally, is crime, drugs, immigration, poverty, homelessness. Those are the big tickets on the block. And I guess the big question is, if you become the leader of the PC party, how would you make Manitoba great again? What would you do different? How would you lead, and how would you take care of a majority of these issues? And we do have severe issues, and people are talking about them. And the problem is, people who are wanting to get in power aren't talking about them.
Yeah, so we have a number of issues, and I'm not belittling the issues, but they're peripheral issues in the sense that so many of the issues need to be dealt with financial resources. Our healthcare issue, the drug addiction issue that we have in Manitoba, which is overwhelming hospitals, overwhelming police budgets that are operating on 1990s levels. We have a school educational system that is indoctrinating and not educating. We have issues with infrastructure that's crumbling. As you recall, a few minutes ago, I said that I grew up in Winnipeg, and not just in the not just in the outskirts, but I grew up in the West End. I went to Gordon Bell High School for 5 years. I graduated from Daniel Mack. So these are obviously core areas that were at that time even challenged with crime and such. But we had a police force that was respected. It was properly funded. We had people walking the beat. Now, 40 some odd years later, I come back to Winnipeg and I'm met with people who lock their doors. I had a haircut at a place not too far from where I'm at right now. And in order to get into the establishment, you got to knock on the door, and the gal looks at you and then makes a decision, comes and opens the door, and then lets you in, asks you what you want. I've never experienced that until starting about 2 or 3 years ago. And now I'm seeing it everywhere. If you visit a chartered accountant I know, I have to have that person unlock the door. Going into even some convenience stores, you have to have the person actually unlock the door. You can't operate a retail business with the type of lawlessness that we have. And this has all been enabled by consistent NDP governments. And I'm not saying that previous PC governments haven't slowed the tide. They may have slowed the tide, but with the NDP in power, they have enabled the people who live on the street to take over the streets, and in some way they have lionized these people and made them an untouchable caste of people, if you will. And basically, these are the holy people of the streets. You're not supposed to talk about them. You're not supposed to refer to them in any derogatory sense. But they're also the ones who commit most petty crimes. They're the ones who are causing our streets to deteriorate and making it unsafe for elderly people, for young people, and of course for your brother Barry Eckes.
Yeah, it's sad that people can't walk in their own neighborhoods. People that have worked so hard to build this province can't even walk out at night because they're afraid. They fear violence. They fear all kinds of things that are going on in the city, which makes it really unfair for people that just want to be in their own neighborhoods and just enjoy that fresh air. And, I want to just get down to right to the heart of the problem. How do you deal with the crime? How do you deal with the mental health issues? How do you deal with the police problems? These are real serious problems, and everyone talks about fixing them, but how do you fix them? What would be your step in the right direction of putting this to an end? We can all say that homelessness needs to be taken care of, and everyone does, and nothing ever happens. We all say that we all know there's an addictions problem. We all know that there's a drug problem and a gang problem. But how do we fix that problem? What would be your plan?
Okay. Yeah. So first of all, up here, federally, is going to have to clean up the bail instead of jail. We have to correct that problem. But provincially, we can increase the size of our provincial budget for policing, and particularly in Winnipeg. It'll have to be designated funds to the mayor, to that office, and followed through with an audit to make sure that the money is actually being spent in the right place. Secondly, our remand center handles about 281 people, males, and about 8 females. It's woefully undersized. It's been built decades ago. We need to have a big jail. We're going to have jail instead of bail, and because we're going to have so many inmates in jail, we're going to have more jails, bigger jails to house more people. That's the harsh reality. It may be minced different ways in the media because the media doesn't like people actually dealing with problems. I truly believe that there is one party in power that actually wants people underprivileged and constantly looking to the government for help, because that's their voter base. That's who they depend on and pick up with buses on election day or on advanced polling day, and they bring those people in to support this nonsense policy that they have of keeping people on the streets. So we need the people put bail on the background and put jail on the foreground, and then we need to build bigger jails to house all the people that we're going to catch instead of release. And then we have to increase the budgets for the police much higher than what they actually need, because they're going to have to make up for a couple decades of degraded equipment and degraded capability.
So, Wally, not everybody is. I'm just going to move this one microphone over so you can hear me. Not everybody
Sure.
is on drugs and a criminal. Some people are on drugs facing homelessness, and they need mental help, and they need obviously addiction help. And that's something that, it doesn't require a jail. We keep talking about building the jails bigger, but we need more rehabilitation centers. The Bruce Oak Foundation has done some good things in terms of their facility here in, obviously, West Winnipeg. You can't say enough about the effort that, the whole recovery process, the individuals who are in that deal with on a daily and weekly
basis.
basis.
I've contributed to that in past years.
I'm sure. I mean, as a Winnipegger, I did too. And, everybody has to kind of do their own part. And I think that's something that is going to be needed in the future, is more rehabilitation. And not everybody deserves to be in jail. It's a tough world out there today. One of the things I noticed, the debate was held recently, Wally, and with the debate, when it was held, there wasn't a lot of talk or questions even asked with regards to the drug situation. And I was wondering why that was maybe left out. Was that something that the moderator did, or was that something that you and Abhi Khan had to discuss prior to and say, like, let's leave that off the table in this discussion? Or what went down there? Because there are people asking that question.
Yeah, that was simply the moderator and the board who came up with the questions. So I didn't have any choice with what questions were made. And if the subject, of course, in the back and forth came up, well, then I would have addressed it, which I have in many policy announcements and such.
Well, yeah, I'm going to the screen here. I'm going to ask you a question from Linda. Will you actually keep your word or follow through? Because it seems like politicians never follow through with promises. I heard a lot of times that their hands are tied no matter what kind of changes they want to make. So what's your plan with that?
I would just say that I'm not the status quo leader, and I'm here for real, and I'm going to do the things that I'm saying that I'm going to do.
And people ask this question of me all the time. I'm going to ask the question of you. What makes you want to be leader of the PC party? And what makes you want to be premier of Manitoba? You're a successful guy.
It's a thankless job, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes here just to talk about yourself, what you want to do, and just to finish it off with your final words. And how can people support you that want to see you as leader of the party?
Yeah. First of all, support. We're running out of time. We've just got a couple days left. Friday at 5:00 p.m. is the deadline for any memberships. So if people want to support me, they can go to Wally #4 Leader, wallyforleader.ca or wallyforleader.com. I put my money where my mouth is. Over the years, actually, probably for the last 15 years, my wife and I have been donating to an organization called Teen Challenge. And I was made familiar with them when I ran federally one time and actually seen one of their facilities. And I was very impressed with the percentage of money that is not taken up in office costs, but the vast majority of the money goes to helping primarily young men who have been addicted to drugs, oftentimes on the street, usually in trouble with the law. And I wanted to help those people. And I say those people, we have pictures of the people that we're actually helping to fund on a refrigerator in Churchill, because that's what we do. We care about people. And as myself personally, what my personal philosophy is as a conservative is it's an obligation for everybody to care for your neighbor, to care for the people that are less enfranchised as I am. So we've made it our place in life to help other people, and that is something that our family has taken on in a big way, and we've been doing that for years. So seeing the direction of our province and knowing what the NDP have done with their last reign, which was close to 16 years, and the damage that they did to our province, I believe as a businessman and as a family man and as being a Manitoban all my life, born and raised in Winnipeg, living in various places in Manitoba, but in particularly northern Manitoba, I care about this province in a big way. I've lived here all my life. I've had the chance to move to the States. I've had the chance to move to other provinces. I love Manitoba. I love its people, and I don't want to leave. So I'm here for life. I could retire and live on a beach in Florida. That's not who I am. That is never will be who I am. I want to work with people with my hands to please my God, to do that until I die.
I have one final question for you, and I know you got to go because where are you off to next? You're off to Morden?
I'm heading out to Morden very shortly.
Quite the drive. So the final question I have for you is, how do we put more money in people's pockets so families can actually enjoy the fruits of their labor? And what would you do with property taxes?
Well, we have to grow the economy. We have had a lackluster economy for decades. And that's why I propose all the time that if we approve new mines, the money starts flowing into Manitoba right away. And all Manitobans benefit because of royalties, because of income taxes. There's so many things that we can't do because we're the poor guy that is basically lived hand to mouth for most of his life. Manitoba, well, years ago, Manitoba used to be a place where mining happened, but for the last roughly 20, 30 years, we've decided that we're not going to open mines. We've decided that we're not going to use our resources as a province, and unfortunately, for the most part, we've been overseen by the NDP, which have no interest in actually growing an economy. They are the party of taxation. They are the party of regulation. They are the party of bureaucracy. They are the party that makes everybody's life more difficult. So you simply simplify life, you go through regulations, and you provide tax cuts. On property taxes, I can't say that I have any policy on that, so I can't speak to it right now.
You know, the good news is that there is still all those natural resources out there for us to use in the future and make Manitoba great again.
Amen
and
to
Canada
that,
for that to matter too.
Absolutely.
Wally, thank you for taking time and joining us. We wish you the best luck in leadership of the PC party. And is there a form somebody could fill out to support you tonight? Is there something that they could do just before you leave?
Yeah, you can go online to wally4leader.ca. That's the number 4, wally4leader.ca or .com, and it'll go to our website, and that'll give you a portal that you can become a member of the PC party in 5 minutes.
Wally, God bless you and your family. Wish you the best of luck, and have a safe trip out to Morden. Thank you for joining us on Ask the Funeral Director.
And thank you for the privilege of having me.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
There you have it.
There's Wally joining us tonight. Wally
great.
seems like a very sincere, honest gentleman who obviously wants change for Manitoba and for Manitoba to be that friendly city. Like our license plates say friendly Manitoba. Not so friendly these days.
That's
So
right.
next we got Abhi Khan joining us.
Standing by.
Standing by. Abhi, can you hear us? Yeah, okay. So a lot of people know Abhi. Huh?
Say something, Abhi.
Are we live right now?
We are now, yes, sir.
So we're going to bring Abhi Khan on right now. A lot of people know Abhi Khan being an ex-Winnipeg Blue Bomber and a well-known voice and person in the city of Winnipeg. We just talked with Wally. He gave us his view on what he would do as leader of the PC party. We're going to ask you much of the same questions, which are pretty simple questions. And people just want answers, Abhi, and people are frustrated. This province is heading in the wrong direction. We need leadership that's going to bring change and to bring peace to families and to allow families to just be with each other and play outside and be safe, and that's not happening right now. My first question, first of all, I'd like to welcome you to the show, Abhi. My first question to you would be, you know my brother Kyriakis was murdered this year in the city of Winnipeg, and it's been a struggle with his murder, and it's been a struggle dealing with everything to do with it. You know, the catch and release program has taken a lot of lives since my brother's. It's nonstop, catch and release, promise to appear, and it's causing chaos in our streets. And you know That is the major problem. The catch and release is the major problem to most of our problems in the city of Winnipeg. And I think if we could deal with that, we would deal with a lot of issues. How would you deal with the justice system? What change would you make as PC leader and possibly the premier of the province in the future?
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on, Mike. Really appreciate it. Sorry, my voice is a little raspy here. I think everyone's getting over this cold or flu that's happening right now. Thoughts and prayers, obviously, to yourself and your family and everyone that's been affected by crime in this province. It's absolutely terrible what's happening. And your brother is unfortunately one of the worst examples of tragedies that can happen in this province because it's left so unchecked. You're totally right. The catch and release program by the federal Liberal NDP is a disaster. And it has wreaked havoc in this country and this province. And it is one of the main reasons we are in the situation we're in now. I mean, there's other root causes of the issue, which we can talk about later. But when it comes specifically to the increase in violent crime happening right now, the bail reform has to stop. We have to change the way our justice system is done right now. We have to jail, not bail people. When you've committed a crime repeated times and you're a violent offender, why are you on the street? It has to stop. And that is just one of the ways we're going to do it. I mean, I think the federal government changed federally with hopefully Pierre Poilievre taking a majority there. And we need a conservative government here in Manitoba to follow suit, because if you have an NDP government here, we know they're not going to do it.
What would you do with the crime? How do we solve the crime issue in Manitoba, which is completely out of control? As a matter of fact, as you know, the police don't even respond to break and enters anymore at your house, or if you got to break and enter in your car, they basically get you to do it online. And our police system is also broken. And it's not the hard-working police officers and paramedics and firefighters that go out to work. It's the system and procedures that are broken. What do we do to fix the crime in the city?
Well, we have to stop the revolving door. We have to stop catching the criminals who have done repeat offenses and then letting them back out. Mike, I got a restaurant. I had a couple restaurants downtown. I got one left now. I'm trying to get out of them all so I can focus solely on politics, because this is a monster of a job itself. I got broken into on a Monday night. Cops called me at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Go down there, we look at the footage, give the cops the footage. Tuesday, they call me, say, hey, Aubrey, we got the guy. I said, okay, great, thanks. Wednesday, they call me, say he's back out. But he knows there's the footage from your store, or your store was mentioned, and he knows it was you, that your location that probably got him caught. So he's going to come back. What happened Wednesday night? He broke in again, smashed another window, $2,500. Oh, you're laughing at it because you're right. It's so comical. Like, it is. Like, you can't do anything but laugh at how broken our system is. And the cops called me to give me a heads up that he's going to probably come back, and lo and behold, he came back Wednesday night, $2,500 a window. Stop the revolving door. We need bail reform, change nationally. Like the previous PC government here with MLA Kelvin Gertzen, who's my co-chair of my campaign, was leading the charge nationally on changing the system, the federally, how it was operating, how it was governed, and how it was been pushed through the provinces. NDP came in power, stopped it. That is unacceptable. We need to get back to civility and some law and order, and if that means keeping them in jail and not on bail, it's not if, that's what it means.
Yeah, I'll share a story with you quickly too. I have a funeral home on Kirkfield, Voyage Funeral Home on Kirkfield. So we get a call from the alarm company. Somebody broke into your building. The police get on the phone. So I look in the cameras and I see people running through the building, opening up drawers, stealing things, doing all kinds of things. The police say, how long will it take you to get to the funeral home? 20 minutes. I'll be there in 20 minutes. I get to the parking lot. 20 minutes later, there's not a police car to be found. I phone 911 and I'm like, I'm in the parking lot of the funeral home. When are you guys going to get here? Your call is not a priority. We won't be showing up. And then I said, well, what am I supposed to do? There was guys in my building, 3 or 4 of them, and you want me to go in by myself? Well, that's your priority. If you feel safe to go in, you can go in. And to me, there's no excuse for that. We have a police system that needs to work for us. and
Yeah.
needs to keep us safe. And to ask a person like yourself or myself to walk into a building where a crime is being committed is complete nonsense.
And and under the way society and our current system in that day is now is, we walk in there to defend our own property, to defend our own business, and if we take matters in our own hand, we're going to be held liable and accountable for, God forbid, defending our own property and protecting our own staff and our own ability to, create jobs and pay taxes and grow this province. I mean, it's completely upside down right now. So, we need we need a change in government here. First of all, we know the NDP aren't doing it. We know their stance on crime is they're soft on crime. Look at their record. The Premier Rob Canoe is too busy playing politics over policies. His policies are awful. He gave a $300 security camera rebate. I mean, what's a $300 camera rebate going to do for? I'll ask you this right now. I mean, what's one of your cameras in your shop worth?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
$500, $1,000 a camera. I mean, what's $300 going to get you? Nothing. And the majority of subscribers for that program, which was designed to keep businesses safe, went to residential homeowners to buy Ring cameras.
Crazy. Well, at least you know how to tackle somebody to the ground if you have to go into a building.
Well, and it's, I do. And feel sorry for the sucker that comes up on me. But, speaking of crime, Mike, here's another terrible story. Sea Bears games. Everyone loves going downtown for the Sea Bears games, right? Or used to. I have a 12-year-old son, and we were going to the Sea Bears game this summer. And he's, I can see he's holding my hand, but he's really scared. And he starts kind of tucked in behind me. And I go, "Hey, what's wrong, bud?" And he's really scared, kind of tucked in. And I go, "What's wrong?" And he goes, "We're about a block away from the center downtown." And he goes, "Dad, you remember? I won't say their names, but these two kids got jumped and stabbed, and their shoes, their Jordans, stolen." He goes, "You remember so and so got their Jordans stolen last week, and they were friends of my kid. They knew them." He said, "And I'm wearing my new Jordans too, Dad. I don't want someone to jump me or stab me." This is a 12-year-old kid walking with his dad downtown in bright daylight at 12 o'clock on a Saturday to watch a game. And I'm one of the bigger guys walking around. If my kid's thinking that, I feel really sad for our society right now in Winnipeg and Manitoba that this is what we're thinking of.
And I would have to agree with you. I remember taking Josh downtown many times to a Jets game, and walking to the parking lot is a pretty scary experience. And I'm a pretty big guy. I could take care of myself too, but still, people are on drugs, and it's scary when somebody's on drugs, and the meth problem that we have, and all the other drugs that are on the street. How do we deal with the drugs? How do we deal with the immigration? How do we give money back to Manitobans and allow them to enjoy their fruit of their labor instead of fighting for jobs and trying to make a living when it's a tough time to put food on your table?
Yeah, I mean, it's simple. First of all, we need to get back in government. That's the number one thing, right? We got to understand that, and I know I'm in a leadership race right now with myself and the opponent before me, but we have to get back in government. You and I can all talk about the great things we want to do, and my opponent can talk about all the great things he wants to do. But if we don't get back in government, meaning if we don't win 29 seats, that means we have to win 8 more seats in the city, Mike. Nothing gets done. We have to win seats. Which one, the question tonight for your viewers, I mean, amongst policies, my opponent and I are going to agree on a lot of things. We're going to agree on we got to get tougher on crime. We got to stop the revolving door. Jail, not bail. We got to expand the high-risk offenders units. Like there's some real simple things that we can do, but we have to get back in government. I'm ready to get to work on day one as a sitting MLA. Some simple things. Like I said, the high-risk offenders unit, 1 in 5 violent crimes right now is by someone on bail. A repeat offender on bail. Unacceptable. We have to support community safety partnerships. That was done under the previous PC government, and we're showing the downtown community safety patrol we see, DSCP or DCSP, great results downtown. That's a public-private partnership where they come together to support and pay for these resources of people out making the community safe. We were going to expand that in Brandon. What did the NDP do? Cut it. Oh, there's no crime in Brandon. Ask anybody living in Brandon. Crime is at an all-time high. But we don't need it, right? We had looked at piloting that project and expanding it to other communities throughout Manitoba, where on my tour, all I've heard over and over again is crime, violence, drugs, needles. And these types of programs under the previous PC government, canned by the NDP, we got to bring those back. Those are two simple solutions we can do on day one. Maybe not day one, maybe day two. But we need to get back in government, Mike, and that's the issue. Who's going to give us the best chance of winning, myself or my opponent, so we can make some changes?
Well, in that case, I say may the best man win, right? And we definitely need a leader who's gonna care, who's going to be compassionate, who's going to understand what people are going through. And more than anything, we need a leader that cares about people. People need to be first in this next election. Another issue that we need to talk about, Abhi, is poverty, homelessness. What do we do to cure that? That's another, on top of the justice system and the catch and release, mental health issue, homelessness, and poverty is another huge problem in the city. And that's causing the break and enters. That's causing the crimes in businesses and people walking out with groceries and all kinds of stuff like that. What do we do to stop this?
Yeah. Homelessness, mental health, drug addictions are real serious issues. They're issues that affect, I would say, almost every single Manitoban's family in some capacity, whether we are directly affected by it or we know someone affected by it or someone in our extended family. Or even just driving downtown and seeing it. I mean, you cannot not be affected by it. We have to look at that with a compassionate lens, first and foremost. They're humans. We're humans. We have to feel something for them to say, hey, how do we help these people? Meet them where they're at and get them off of the situations they're in. So, for example, if it's drugs that someone is addicted to, Mike, I don't believe the answer to someone fighting drugs is giving them more drugs. Maybe you do. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, if you're an alcoholic and you're now a recovering alcoholic, I don't think we give you more alcohol, do we?
So that brings me to the safe consumption centers that they want to do. What's your take on that? I mean, my take on that.
I mean, what are you talking about? Safe consumption site? That's like why don't we open up all you can eat? I won't even go there. There's no such thing as a safe consumption center. Like they're drugs. They're illegal drugs. They're harming people. You don't give someone who's an alcoholic more alcohol. You get them off of alcohol. You abstain them. You provide them supports, right? You provide them resources. You get them a peer. You get them a buddy system, right? We get them supports to get them off of alcohol. Why are we doing the same thing for drugs? Why are we giving them more drugs? Let's get them resources to get them off.
Abhi, I've been, let's move this over. Abhi, I've been in Lethbridge, Alberta for 23 years, and I happened to see a safe consumption site in operation in Lethbridge, and it was a very sad day when that started in the city. There was a lot of corruption that went along with it from the people that were running the facility and center. They scammed, $4 million from the federal government to put this facility together. They had volunteer nurses and doctors in the facility. They provided Narcan, but the drugs were running rampant. The city turned into a tent city. It became the number one crime city in Canada. I moved back to Winnipeg because Winnipeg was safer at that point. Winnipeg's about to go to that same change. That same situation is about to happen here, and we can't let that happen. I mean, people are starting to speak up now, and that's what it's going to take now. Good people, are the only ones who are able to get good things done. So guys like yourself, Wally, Kevin Klein from the Winnipeg Sun, Mike sitting beside me, good people, right? Good people do good things. And this safe consumption site is something that needs to be discussed at a higher level. So are you the kind of guy that gets into Wab Canoe's sites where you're able to have that discussion, because he doesn't see the clear image that you and I maybe see as to what this can do to the city and how the harm it'll cause. It's tragic.
Yeah, 100%. And let's not leave yourself out of that, Dave. When you say good guys standing up and doing good things, I believe you're right up there as well. You're totally right. I was in Vancouver and I toured downtown Vancouver with some cops, and they showed me these safe consumption sites, and I felt like I was in another world. It was. Yeah. I went to school in Vancouver 15 years prior to, and that was never happening to that level. I just pulled up an article here. 500,000 needles were handed out in the past year in Swan River. You know how many people live in Swan River? Not 500,000.
No.
4,000. 4,000 people live in Swan River and 500,000. So when you talk about corruption, we talk about spending, misappropriation of funds. I mean, who's getting the kickbacks from these 500,000 needles? This is one example. I'm not saying this one specifically, but in all of them, right? They've created an industry now for drugs, for drug handouts, for Narcan, for all of these accessories that come with it. It is an industry now that we're combating, not just the drugs and the usage of drugs and what's happening afterwards. You have to have someone who's willing to go right into that. And I tell you, when your question to Wab Kinew comes about, I don't think there's many people Wab maybe dislikes more in that legislature. Well, I can say the NDP as a whole than myself. As a sitting MLA, because I have a seat now, right? So when I stand up to speak, let's just say there's not very nice things they have to say about me because they know that I'm speaking the truth. They know that when I speak, people listen. They know I have a platform as an elected official who can get to work on day one as someone who is not from, from someone who is from an immigrant family who worked their way up. Success story. The NDP look at me and let's just say they don't like what I have to say because they know I'm speaking the truth.
I want to share a story with you about Narcan. I talked, since my brother's murder, I've been spending a lot of time talking with police officers, paramedics, trying to find out how can we fix the system. So I talked with a paramedic. They get to a scene where a guy's drugged out of his face, ready to die. They give him Narcan, and then they go, Mike, what do we do with him next? There's no facility to take these people to. So whether you're struggling with mental illness, whether you're struggling with drug addiction, there should be a building, a place where you could take these people to so they could get rehab, so they can get, their life back, so they can learn how to work again and get clean off drugs and alcohol. And there's so many empty buildings in the province of Manitoba that we could be using to house these people until they get better. But instead, we're letting them back on the streets again.
Isn't that what we want to do, Mike? Like, really, why give it? And also, I'm going to take that one step farther now. So these safe consumption sites that they're doing, the one that the NDP had proposed right downtown across from a high school, I believe. And this happens in Vancouver and in Lethbridge, I guarantee it happens in Ontario. When people come in there and they're not given the treatment or the recovery they need, they're actually given more drugs. And then what happens after that?
Death and destruction.
They let them back onto the streets. And they're not in their mind, right? So they're hopping on a bus, they're hopping on a cab, they're walking over, they're going to Polo Park, they're going to Transcona, they're going to McPhillips, they're going all over the province or the city. And how is that a possible solution to helping that individual who just needs help? I think it's backwards. We need to message it strongly. We need to have a leader who can do that, and we need to have support of people like you all coming together under a big tent like I've talked about, right? If we can build those tents together, we are going to make some noise, boys, let me tell you.
We've been talking about Doge recently, so Department of Government extract. It's what Elon's doing. He's extracting
I think what Trump
now.
is doing is really good there. Giving back to the people, and this corrupt spending that's going on is crazy. But I want to talk to you about a couple more things before we let you go. Same as I talked to Wally about. We have a police system that's broken also. Not the hardworking men and women to go to work every day and do their jobs as paramedics and as firefighters and as police officers. They're working a dangerous job, and I wouldn't want their job in today's day and age in society. How do we improve the policing system? How do we make it better, stronger? How do we keep the system working so it's protecting citizens and not letting us down? My brother, the system let my brother down. 911 let my brother down. 25 minutes for an ambulance to get on the scene where he was murdered. To me, that's unacceptable, and to me, that's a system that failed a family. Whether it was my family or another family, it failed a family.
Yeah, you're right. It's failed your family, and it's failed lots of families, unfortunately, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And we're seeing this in all aspects under this province, right? Whether it be healthcare or crime or emergency responses. Funding is a major issue, of course. Funding is the root of a lot of these provinces. We don't have enough money in the province. We're not going to be able to tax our way out of this. Let's be very clear, right? The NDP have already spent $3.2 billion. There's not enough unless you guys are both okay with me increasing your taxes. Just you guys want more taxes or less taxes? Just show of hands.
More taxes for me.
Yeah, right. We can't tax our way, and we can't cut our way. Even though the NDP are cutting like crazy, cutting community programs, $100 million into communities to make families safer and communities playing in parks. NDP cut it. So they're cutting funding. They're taxing the heck out of people. We need to grow our province. We need to grow our economic sector. That's a funding issue. I know we're not talking about economy and economic platforms, but we need more funding. Along with funding also comes back to, hey, how about the time when we were kids and we saw cops and we loved them?
Yeah.
And we respected them. And we admired them for their work, and we thanked them for their work, just like our military, just like our elected officials, God forbid, or our police officers, our ambulance, and our nurses, and doctors. Like, thank you. Let's flip society. Let's turn the narrative around here a little bit. Thank them instead of threatening to defund them like the NDP are doing, right?
Yeah.
Thank them for their work, support them in their work, and stand with them as they try to make the province better. Don't throw arrows at them.
No, you know what? They're hardworking people. And, you got to respect the job that a police officer does every day. What we're running away from, they're running into. And that goes for firefighters and paramedics who have a tough job in their job. I say they're not broken. The system's broken. The system procedures are broken. We need a good mayor and we need a good premier. And then we're going to bring Manitoba back, and we're going to make, as Trump would say, Manitoba great again. But one more thing for you, Abhi, is how do you make Manitoba great again if you become premier and leader of the PC party? What would you do to give back to the people, to keep property taxes low? People are struggling to put food on their tables, and I see it at the funeral home every day. Poverty is a huge thing in the province of Manitoba.
Very great question to end it on. I mean, this leadership race is a great example of how we get Manitoba to being a great province, right? This leadership race, I have talked all about unity, bringing us together as a party. Even though we might have differences in the party, we have to come together as a party. We come together for a better Manitoba. That is how we're going to do this in greater concept, right? We have to work together. We respect each other. We might not agree all the time, but that's how we start within this leadership race. Hopefully I come out as your leader. That's a very clear message I've been using. I'll let my opponent talk about his messaging. Number two is when we come together and we win, we can take that message forward and win the province back. We can get back in government with a positive message like that and winning seats in the city. From there, we have to grow our economy. We have to unleash Manitoba, and that's all sectors. It's from energy to agriculture to manufacturing to infrastructure to mining to transportation, all of it. How do we do it, Mike? Simple. We remove artificial barriers that have been created by government. Get out of the way. Create the environment for businesses to flourish. Yeah. They will come here. They will flourish. They will grow. That then in turn will support all the services we need. Because again, we cannot tax our way out of this, guys. We got to grow. We got to grow that pot. We grow that pot by growing our economy. We'll get more money to provide for policing, for homelessness, for mental health, for drugs addictions, for crimes, for our healthcare, for our, on and on and on, whatever issues we may have. We can't tax it anymore. We can't cut it anymore. We have to grow it. We're going to grow it by hopefully me winning leadership, unifying this party, and kicking some serious butt together with both of you guys.
You know what's funny? what I think about all the time is how hard it is to run a business. And you run businesses, I run businesses, and the city of Winnipeg and the province of Manitoba makes it impossible for businesses to run and be successful. From the fines they're giving businesses to the no compliance to the
you know a lot about that, don't you?
I could tell you myself in the last year since my brother's death, 5 fines from the city of Winnipeg, and fines that I'm going to end up taking the city to court for because they're not justified. Yeah. But
like talk about fines like what your egress or something's off by an inch or two.
No, here let me give you an example. We had a sign when I bought Kirkfield United Church. The sign was there since 1963. So Voyage Funeral Home bought the building. We changed the nameplate on the sign to Voyage Funeral Home. So 3 years after we got our permit to operate, our occupancy permit, they came and fined me $1,000 for not getting a permit to change the nameplate on the sign. Think about that. That's ridiculous. But that's just an example of what businesses are going through, and the struggle is very real. Something else I want to say is, you're a sports guy. You watch Canada and the U.S. the feeling and the power of Canada winning and that pride of Canada being strong and good and better. It was Canada against Trump, it seemed like, but it was that flow that went, that energy that kind of went through Canada and is continuing to go to Canada. That's what we need in Manitoba, that energy of love. You go to the States and you see U.S. flags everywhere. We need Canadian flags up. We need to be proud of Canada, and we need leaders such as yourself or Wally.
Yeah, let's.
I got a great story. I got to tell you this one story though. I don't know how long we're to go for, but this quick one. So speaking of flags and Canadian pride, I'm driving with my kid about 2 years ago when I first got elected to the States. You notice when you're driving down through the States, what do you see on the side of the highways everywhere? American flags. And they got that one giant flag. I think it's in the Fargo, maybe, like a giant American flag. You know what I'm talking about? It's like the biggest flag you've ever seen.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And my kid goes, wow, look at that flag, Dad. And we start talking about flag. What does it matter? He's 10 years old at the time. And he goes, you know what? Long story short, he goes, I said, why did they have it? He goes, Dad, sense of pride, sense of love, sense of that they're proud to be American. They're happy to be here. They love their country. He goes, Dad, aren't you like an elected guy who can make rules and laws? I said, yeah. He goes, you should make a law that everyone has to have a Canadian flag in their house on their front lawn. And I said, that's a good law, bud. But, he's a 10-year-old kid saying that, and we need to bring that pride back. That happens through a strong government. It happens through a positive leader who's going to unite people. And imagine, like you're talking about the Canada USA, yeah, how proud were we? Imagine now as Manitobans, let's go 6-7 years down the road here, hopefully myself as premier and everyone working together. And we have a flourishing economy. We are a province of haves, not have-nots. We have an amazing energy sector. We have a healthcare system that someone was bold enough to think outside the box and push barriers. We have a robust mining sector. We have exports going all the time. We have a manufacturing hub happening here. We'd feel the exact same way we felt when Canada kicked the crap out of USA a couple of days ago. And we can do that here. And I think under hopefully my leadership and everyone rowing in the same direction, we can do it.
Abhi, thank you for joining us on the show. Good luck to you on PC leadership and maybe premier one day. God bless you and your family, Abhi. And the best to you again. Thank you for taking time to do this with us tonight. We'll talk again.
Thank you, guys. Always a pleasure. God bless you as well.
Take care.
Thank you to Abhi on the show and Wally. It was kind of an interesting show tonight. Not your normal Ask the Funeral Director.
No, it's far from it.
A little off the beat, but like, share, follow the show, get it out to some people. If we get the right leader in place, they can make change, and they can change Manitoba and make it safer for our families, our grandchildren, and great grandchildren.
How did you think that went? We had both candidates on tonight. You kind of got an idea as to who brings what to the table. One of the things that I kept hearing was we don't want to put more taxes on the people of Manitoba. We'd rather do other things. Well, lots of talk about how to do things, but we need to make cuts. The cuts, the proper budgeting, proper business ethic that Trump and Elon are bringing to the States, which is spending that money properly, not wasting it. And especially on 500,000 needles to Swan River, for example.
There's so much waste in the province of Manitoba. And, I could talk about waste forever because I've been making notes and I've been seeing what needs to be changed, what needs to be done. And there's so much that we can change. But we need the right leader. And the right leader has to be somebody who's talking from his heart, not from his pocketbook or not because of fame and fortune. Somebody who wants to take Manitoba by the hand and walk it through all the darkest spots and bring light to people's homes and hearts. That's what we need, a leader who's going to care, who's going to be compassionate, and most of all is going to put people first. You have to make your own choice. We're going to stay in the middle here.
Yeah, but, there's no doubt about that.
It's Wally or Abhi. I think they're 2 days away. How can you support them? You can support Abhi by going online, or support Wally by going online. And as they say, may the best man win. Two really good guys.
Absolutely.
And it's good to have competition.
They both have good intentions.
Yeah, good intentions. It's good to have competition. Competition is always good, and it always brings the best man out.
I'm just happy that we're able to expose both individuals' characters and really show the public what each one is about in a way that, they maybe haven't been interviewed before.
Yeah, you know what? You interview them how you'd want somebody to interview you. And I want to hear real answers to real questions.
That's right.
I want to hear what somebody's going to do about crime. I want to hear what somebody's going to do about bail reform and the justice system, the catch and release. It's out of control. We just can't talk about it. We need action.
I had lots of questions about school and school boards
and you know
school
what? I
officials.
had questions about school boards
but,
too, and
you know.
but it was only fair to ask both parties the same question. And we only have an hour, so we're on a time crunch. But the election is for the PC leadership is a couple of days away, and one of these gentlemen are going to be your next leader for the PC party, and it's going to be up to you. How do you help these guys? You buy memberships.
Yeah.
Once you buy a membership for $20, that gives you the right to vote. That gives you the right to get out there.
Pick the guy you want.
Yeah, make a choice.
Yep.
And tonight was a good show because two different guys, two different personalities, both come from a business background.
Oh, yeah.
Both have done good for our province. So it's up to you, folks. Make the right choice and think before you make that decision, because the decision you make is going to affect not only you, but your children and grandchildren in the future. Brad, thank you. Folks, thanks for watching another edition of Ask the Funeral Director. God bless you and your families. Take care of yourselves and each other.
Good night, everybody.